Okay, so good day guys. How to make granny square stitch, and we'll be needing a yarn. I'm using acrylic yarn, so you can decide to use any yarn you want to, using two colors, black and yellow. And then we'll be needing our scissors, and we'll be using size 4 mm pin. You can decide to use any size, but that's what I'll be using. Also, we'll be needing our darning thread to weave in loose ends. So let's begin. So there are different ways to make your slip knot, but I like to make mine this way. Let me show you again. Just like this, and then make a slit. So making a chain of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we make a slip knot. So you go to the first chain that you've made. So we'll go to the first chain and make a slip knot like this. So we have a hole and you're working in that hole. So now you go on to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, which counts as your first double crochet, since we'll be working in a cluster of 3 double crochet. So you go to the next one, you go to the hole, then you make your double crochet. 1, 2, then you make another one, 2. So you make a chain of 1. This counts as our first cluster, because we'll be making 4 clusters for granny square stitch. So we'll move on to make the second cluster, and we're using double crochet, don't forget. So now we have 2 clusters, then you chain 1, and we move on to make third cluster. Sorry. So now to make our last cluster, we have 1, 2, 3, make a chain of 1, then move on to do a double crochet, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So now we have 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you make a slip knot in the first slit, the first stitch that we made. So just go in and slip knots. Then you can start to close this circle. Okay, so now this is the first row. You're supposed to have 4 clusters of double crochet. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So making a chain of 3 to make our second row. 1, 2, 3, and in this hole right here, we're making our first corner, and so we'll be making 2 clusters in it. So this already counts as our first stitch. So we'll go on to make the second double crochet, then the third, which counts as our first cluster. So to make the second cluster, we'll chain 2, and we'll go ahead to make our second cluster. Okay, so now we made 2 clusters in the in the first space between each cluster to get our first corner. So we'll make another corner here, make another corner here. So we are going to also have 2 clusters in that space. So chain 2 and make another cluster, 3 double crochets. Don't forget double crochets. I hope you know how to make double crochets by now, but if you don't know, I could make a tutorial on that. So now we have our second corner and 2 clusters. So chain 1, then we go to the next space here to make our third corner. So make our third corner in that hole. So chain 2 and make our last cluster, second cluster I mean, in the hole. Then chain 1. See that it's beginning to form shape. Our granny square is beginning to come alive. So to make the last corner, we'll make the last corner in this hole and double crochet, 1, 2, the third double crochet, then we chain 2, 1, 2, and make another cluster in it, 1, 2, 3. So now we have got all 4 corners already. So we'll join by making a slip stitch, a slip knot, slip stitch, yeah, slip stitch. So you go in into the last stitch here and make your slip stitch. So now okay, so if you want to just keep using one color, you can just keep going on like that, but if you would be joining, you would probably have to, so this had to join another color, so I had to loosen it to explain that. Now we already have our last cluster, we already have 2 double crochet and we're going to make the last one. So for the last one, you'd, so at this point you'd attach your new color yarn. This is one of like the neat way to attach your yarn. Okay, so now you can chain 1 to have that tight. So you slip stitch. Okay, so now it has been attached. Then to make row 3, you chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and in this hole here would be making a cluster, so that counts as our first, then second, so the third double crochet, then chain 1. So now we have a corner here. Anyway, you have a corner, you just have to make another corner, and making another corner you have to make 2 clusters in that corner. So we would make another corner by making 2 clusters of 3 double crochet. So 1, to make the first cluster we have to make our 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. So we chain 2 to make the second cluster of double crochets. So you can see now that we have another corner. So chain 1, then in this space here, just make a cluster. You're only going to make a double cluster when you have a corner, because you want to make another corner. So you chain 1, then in this corner we'll be making 2 clusters of 3 double crochet. So this one, second double crochet, the third, and chain 2 to make your second cluster. Chain 1, then so you have your corner. You can see how neat it is. So you have your corner here, just like we have a corner right here. So here you just make a single cluster. It's just to repeat the same process. It's not difficult. Okay, so now we are approaching another corner, and we would have to make another cluster, a double cluster, double crochet. So the first one, so this second double crochet, third double crochet, and this is our first cluster, right? So to make the second, we have to chain 2, 1, 2, then go ahead to make the second cluster. I would have just, allow you complete the row, then you will meet me at the end. But since I'm literally teaching you how to make this stitch, I want you to understand. So here we'll be having a single cluster, right? Because this is not a corner. So like I said, only when you get to a corner that you make a double cluster. Only when you get to the corner you make a double cluster of 3 double crochets. And 3 double crochets stands for, represents or makes up a cluster. So now we have a corner, this is our last corner, we'll be making 2 clusters. So to make our first, we'll be making 3 double crochets, second one, third, and so to make the last second cluster, we chain 2 and we make, then we make the cluster. You can decide to mix your color, any color of your choice, or you can just decide to, make it a monochrome and just use one color. So now we are done with this row, and we'll join by making a slip stitch. Like I said, just from the first stitch over here, drag and pull through. Do you understand? So now this is the third row. I'll be making 4 rows, and this is the last row I'm making. So again, you chain 3. This stands as your first stitch. Then go ahead to make your double crochet, and your cluster is ready. So like I said, you only get to make 2 clusters when you have a corner. So we don't have any corner here, we just make a single cluster. Sorry. Okay, so yes, so now we have our first corner here, and so we'll be making 2 clusters. So go ahead to make our first double crochet, don't forget double crochet, then chain 2, make the second one. You can use any pin size of your choice, or I'll be working with 4. So we are done with the first corner. Go ahead to make a single cluster double crochet, we are done. We don't have any corner. Okay, so we go ahead to also make another cluster, and now we are approaching the second corner and we'll be making 2 clusters here. So chain 1, yes, yeah, and go ahead to make the first cluster. So chain 2, make the second cluster. Okay, so go ahead and make a single cluster here. It's quite easy and one of my favorite stitch to make. Okay, so make another cluster, double crochet, then yeah, you make a double cluster here, because that's another corner. Don't forget, when we get to a corner we have to make double clusters. Double crochet, chain 2, and make the second one. Chain 1, make a cluster again. Just repeat the same thing around. Sorry. Okay, so and single cluster. You can decide to use different type of yarn, cotton, sleek, but I'm using 100% acrylic yarn for mine own project. Then our last corner, so making a double cluster, and this last row I'll be making, but if you want to make yours wider, bigger, you can just keep going around and repeating the same thing. It's just the same. Chain 2 and make your last cluster. Okay, so just to join it together, you just make a slip stitch. You put your pin in the first stitch and then drag and pull out. So that's it. You have your granny square. So you can decide to cut as if you're done, or if you want to keep going ahead, you just repeat the same format, and you can use your darning thread to do the weaving to make it look neat. So it depends on the size that you have. Just push it in, drag it out and cut it, so it gives it that finishing look. So you're done. That's it. Here you go. I look forward to seeing you make yours. Feel free to ask your questions and which other stitch you would want me to make. Thank you.